let's get into some news, because things have been going on in the video game industry this week, and I think we should start with something I know you're very excited about. There was a new Batman Arkham game announced yesterday. Did you know? With a huge asterisk tied to it. Now, I have different reasons for disliking this to you, I think. But you immediately put in the work chat yesterday that, hey guys, Batman, what is it? Arkham Shadow has been announced, but it's been announced for VR exclusively and the Meta Quest 3 exclusively. You're laughing.
Those sons of bitches.
They've done it to you again.
I can't keep... What are you showing me? Oh, man. And it's also really annoying because from what we can glean, Roger Craig Smith, the guy who voiced Batman in Batman Arkham Origins, which is obviously the prequel to Arkham Asylum, he retweeted the announcement. Right. So the speculation currently is that he's voicing Batman in this game, and it is set in between Arkham Origins and Arkham Asylum, which is the game that everyone kind of was really hoping for the longest time. And even cooler is that they're doing my favorite thing for comic book adaptations to do, which is focus on a niche villain. So the big tease here is that Ratcatcher is the thing you're going to be going up against, and the suit looks pretty cool and everything. Really, really annoying that, again, it's just a solid reminder that it's been, 9 years since Arkham Knight?
Yes.
It's been 11 years since Arkham Origins.
That's gross.
Trying to think of more milestones here to make you feel older.
Please don't. Please stop.
But it's ridiculous that this, and I'm sure, I'm not as cold on VR as other people. I just don't have a machine to play it with. But it is just genuinely mad that it's like, oh, we're doing a brand new Batman Arkham experience. It's going to be VR. And I think maybe there's a positive to glean here that they're still looking at Batman Arkham as a brand and going, hey, we want more of that. But after Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, it's like the most pathetic chaser to the worst shot you've ever received.
What an analogy. I'm going to steal that in every podcast.
It's like Joker juice.
Joker juice, it really is. No, it is like monkey's paw curling, right? And I think it's, I am looking forward to a Batman VR game. I'm gutted that I don't have the Meta Quest 3 to play in.
Yeah, the Zuck machine.
I think it's a shame for me personally that it's not coming to PSVR 2, but I do think it's a kind of sorry state of affairs that the only way to get a new Arkham experience in 2024 is for it to be this exclusively funded VR niche experience. Like, I don't doubt that the only reason this exists is because someone threw money at it and said, give us a VR game with a recognizable brand attached to it, right? But the fact that that's the only form of Arkham that we're getting, and that's the only thing that's seemingly the only viable way to continue that franchise is crazy, right? Especially, like you said, after that terrible shot that was Suicide Squad earlier this year. It's the times are moving quickly. I can't believe that was beginning of February. Don't do this. Scott Tilford didn't have a child when that game came out.
But yeah, no, it's just kind of really frustrating. Again, for me, speaking as someone who loves Arkham Origins, and everyone who has been listening and watching What Culture Gaming for the last however many years now, they're sick to their teeth, their Joker teeth of me talking about that game. But it's mad that we're getting more Arkham, but they haven't even remastered Arkham Origins when they did the other thing. Yeah. So we're in this really awkward position where it's like, oh, we're going to continue Arkham Origins' timeline and move it into that Arkham Asylum space because we want to pick up on the Batman Arkham clout, but we're going to ignore that Arkham Origins exists and not make a re-release or remaster of it. Warner Brothers are out to hurt me personally. Yeah. This is why it's a shame that so much of what I love is wrapped up in that goddamn company.
No, right? I know. So many, the caretaker of so many beloved IPs, constantly beating them with brooms and just doing not what you want them to do. I think it's interesting that this is apparently, we will find out more about this game at Summer Games Fest in June, but we do know that it's from the same developer as Iron Man VR, and I don't know if you have any experience with that, but I played Iron Man VR and I actually thought it was quite good. in terms of giving you full body movement and a sort of sense of flight simulation in the Iron Man suit. It was rudimentary for what it was. The player space wasn't all that big. You were kind of just fighting drones. But the sense of momentum that you got from it, I thought was really good. So having nailed at least the embodiment of Iron Man in that game, I'm interested to see what they do with Batman this time around, especially because it isn't Rocksteady making it like the previous Batman VR experience, which I'm forgetting the name of, but they were directly involved
Batman
with
Arkham
that.
VR.
Was it literally just Batman Arkham VR, right? So this having, the developers having superhero experience in that realm, I think that's quite cool.
Yeah, I think Iron Man lends himself more to the VR space, literally because you can do the whole rocket boost thing. You're not walking around. You can literally just go whoop, 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 whoop. I'm doing different motions in my arms here to simulate Iron Man moving from side to side. But yeah, like I think I'm on one hand, I'm glad that this exists because it shows that Batman Arkham ain't dead, baby.
Yeah.
But I would really like an actual main meal, and not a little mint and pea soup. I enjoy mint and pea soup. It can be a tasty appetizer, but it's not, it's not the full kahuna.
I think it's really interesting what you said there about just the general treatment of Origins and the Origins space. Like you said, this looks like it's going to be a kind of follow-up to that set after Origins before Arkham Asylum. And yeah, that sort of side of the Arkhamverse has kind of just been relegated to that starter meal or the chaser if you're ordering a round of drinks. It's just so easily swept aside. And I think that sucks because there's so much quality in Origins. There's so many interesting ideas that a lot of people wanted to see followed through on in a proper sequel, like you said. And the fact that, not only Rocksteady, who I can kind of understand from a sort of, I don't know, maybe pride or caretaking perspective, kind of not wanting to associate or really directly acknowledge the work of someone else within their play space, but just Warner Brothers' own disregard for it, I find odd.
It's really weird because it's never like they treat it as if it's an embarrassment. Yeah. I'm probably reading too far into this, and the reason why they're repackaging the Rocksteady Arkham games so often is because, or just the one time actually, is because they were massively critically acclaimed from Asylum through to Arkham Knight, whereas Arkham Origins I think probably sits in the, it probably sits in the 70s, mid-70s on Metacritic or something like that, which isn't bad, and it really frustrates me because, like, even aside from me thinking that it is just as good as the Rocksteady games, like, surely even the biggest Origins naysayers can't say that it's like it was a disaster that deserves to be swept under the rug. Like, it's mad to me that on these continuity consoles now that we have with the PS4 and PS5, we think very clearly that the libraries here aren't going to get fragmented the further we go along. I think it's clear that there's a digital, path forward for these games to carry through. If you're a PlayStation owner, you can't play Arkham Origins. Yeah. You can't play Arkham Origins as DLC, but if you have an Xbox Series X, or you can play it through backwards compat, it's just ridiculous to me that you wouldn't have that as like, I would pay 20 quid for Arkham Origins again, to be honest, with all the DLC and everything. Like, because I genuinely really like that game. I'd probably replay it every year as a rare Christmas game too. And I would like to see them get acknowledged. If you're going to go back into that space, I hope this means that maybe potentially just do something with that. There's so much negativity and anxiety surrounding Warner Brothers gaming space going forward. Obviously, we know that Monolith have got a DC game coming out in Wonder Woman. Obviously, we know that WB Games Montreal also have something that they've been working on alongside Gotham Knights, which came out the other year. Just remains to be seen what those shapes are going to take, and I really do hope that we actually have something single player and good, because that would be nice.
I really hope so. I mean, every time I see concept art from that cancelled Damian Wayne game, a part of my inside dies. My soul just screams out for some kind of continuation for this franchise. I think especially, looking at Suicide Squad in the narrative of that and how that did continue the Arkhamverse, like, that is way worse, in my opinion, than anything Origins did. And I think, going back to those original critically acclaimed games that Rocksteady made, even something like Arkham Knight, which I really love, that's as controversial, I would say.
Story-wise,
is
definitely.
something like,
Yeah.
Origins, definitely from a story perspective and how they handled the ending of that trilogy and how they handled, the Arkham Knight himself and the storyline surrounding that. And I'm like, come on, guys. Like, this isn't like a perfect trilogy besmirched by one 70 rated Metacritic game. Come on.
It's like they're trying to, we all know that the reasons why Arkham Origins was made is that it's because Rocksteady said they wanted to take a little longer on Arkham Knights that would come out for the next generation of consoles, and at the time the PlayStation 4. And Warner Brothers were like, hey, Montreal, can you do an Arkham game to kind of fill that gap a little bit? So we know that it was made for, slightly cynical reasons, but business is cynical. But at the same time, it's like, well, Warner Brothers, you can't just be like, oh, we want to do the cynical thing and then try and act like we didn't do the cynical thing. It's like, it's just really annoying.
I'm getting into a bit of a wider tangent, but I always find it frustrating when they do the cynical thing, like you said, try to sweep it under the rug. But the cynical business decision they made, against all odds, turned out great anyway.
Yeah.
Like with Arkham Origins, with something like BioShock 2, which I think is great, that never gets any love, or Fallout New Vegas, I think is the ultimate one right now, that people who are, replaying the Fallout games, watching the Fallout show, are banging on about, saying, why has this game not been remastered?
Why can't I play it? Why can't I want to join the Kings again, baby.
I want to join the Kings again. I want to get a robo dog companion. Like, that was a game made in 18 months, made to be this stopgap release, and it is incredible.
Might be the biggest gaming miracle ever.
Yeah,
like the fact
probably.
that it is, for me, it is the best Fallout game.
Yes,
and before we came on, we were talking about Solo, a Star Wars story, and I'd probably fit that in the nakedly cynical thing actually becoming something
Absolutely.
Cool and original. But hey ho, I'll just continue to suffer. I'll be like Frank in Blue Velvet, only I'm taking hits of the Joker gas to just try and get myself through this. It's the only time I'm going to compare myself to that character. I'm not.
See.
But and just a public disclaimer, I am not Frank from Blue Velvet.
I don't know if that's true. I've seen this guy in after work hitting the town after a Liverpool match goes well.